how did you start going viral in the first place?
One thing that's unique about me compared to any other content creators out there is that I'm Uzbek.
I'm just curious, why do you think promoting Central Asia now is more important than ever?
Tashkent is like the Abu Dhabi of like Central Asia.
How did you manage to stay connected to your roots? Because a lot of people lose that like over time.
They look up to me as a role model. They look up to me as like a Uzbek-American that's been able to be successful in academics while also being successful in the social media realm.
People barely knew where Central Asia was, let alone like separate countries, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan.
A lot of people told me that I'm the only Central Asian creator that's very viral to non-Central Asians. So we have no excuse now anymore. We have the tools, we have the power, we have the ability to be a voice for our country, for our regions, and to show other people what Central Asia is all about.
So you are a first-generation American, an Uzbek-American creator, born and raised here in Texas, and you've been basically going viral, like sharing Central Asian culture, like humor and identity. And I've been like seeing your content, and it's honestly really interesting. So I guess my first question is, like, you grew up in America, like a lot of like first-gen kids do. But my question is, how did you manage to stay connected to your roots? Because a lot of people lose that like over time.
Yeah, exactly. So when my parents came to this country about 2004, when they came together, they put my name as Jahongir. And, at first my dad wanted to name me as like Jonathan or anything like this. Alhamdulillah, my name is actually Jahongir. And he told me that anytime I was in elementary school, with other Americans, all their names are Ben, Christopher, or something like this. And some of my classmates were asking if I had a nickname or anything like this. So my dad told me that tell them your name is Jahongir, because Jahongir, that name is part of your identity. When you lose your name, when you change it to Jonathan or something like that, you lose your identity. And slowly but surely, you lose the fact that you're from Uzbekistan. You're from a beautiful country, a beautiful culture. You're from Central Asia. So just by that name, that's when I stuck to my own identity. And even to this day, I tell people my name is Jahongir, and it's not hard when you actually, write it down or pronounce it out. But, sometimes with Americans, they try to shorten it. They try to give you nicknames. So that's one way I've been able to retain my identity, is introducing myself as Jahongir. And even though going through elementary school, middle school, high school, I was always trying to blend in and assimilate. Pretty much any first generation American can relate with that. They're trying to get in that friend group, get in that community. Either they take a sport or they do certain activities. And that's when I actually started to lose my cultural identity. I forgot that I was Uzbek, and I tried so hard to try to be more American. But that's where the difference between assimilation and acculturation comes into play, where assimilation is when you lose your cultural values, your cultural identity, to adopt the majority in your environment, whereas acculturation, you still retain your cultural identity while still abiding by the majority of where you are. So I still am American, and I still stand by that. But first off, I believe that my first identity is Uzbek, and that's where I like to retain my identity. So far, even through my content, that's how I've been able to maintain my Central Asian identity.
Speaking of which, like, how did you start going viral in the first place? Can you like elaborate on that?
Yeah, of course. So I started this, I guess I've been making content since 2023, but I haven't, consistently posted or stayed consistent until April of 2024. And at this time, I was just making, study content, funny videos in terms of education and things of this nature. And then in August of 2024, that's when I actually had my first taste of virality. It was with the dad lore videos and the it builds character videos. And a lot of people found that very relatable, very funny. And I took that all the way to, I believe it was November. And then November, I started doing the acting like people are the main character, where I just go up to random people and I pretend like they're spies in the CIA mission or something like that. And that took me from, with the dad lore stuff, that in and of itself took me from like 5,000 followers to 45, 50,000 followers. But with the character building one, that took me from 55, 60,000 all the way to 100,000. So that's when I really tasted virality. And that's when a lot of people told me that I'm the only Central Asian creator that's very viral to non-Central Asians, that has been able to make content that has gone viral with other non-Central Asians. So that's when I started continuing making those character videos. But I felt like my content didn't have a purpose, didn't have initiative. It was just me having fun, me being creative, which is still a purpose in and of itself. But I felt like I had more potential. And that's when I got a lot of DMs from people saying that they look up to me as a role model. They look up to me as like a Uzbek-American that's been able to be successful in academics while also being successful in the social media realm. So that's when I really became more intentional with my content. That's when I sort of shifted towards Central Asian, because one thing that's unique about me compared to any other content creators out there is that I'm Uzbek. I'm a Central Asian content creator where there's not many of us, maybe a couple of us out there. But with my identity, there's a lot of people that look up to me. There's a lot of people that are just like me. So if I'm able to give them a voice in the social media world, I feel like that would be more impactful than creating these, fun and entertaining videos. I felt like that was more purposeful, and I still retain that funny side of bringing Central Asian culture to non-Central Asians, but I really try to be more intentional with my content. So now that's the transition, or that's the stage that I'm at right now, is trying to show the world our culture, our Central Asian culture, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, Tajiks, Afghans, Turkmens, Uzbeks. I want to be able to show the world our food, our manners, our traditions, our everything that makes us in terms of our identity. I want to show that to the world. So that's where I'm at in that stage.
And I think like one thing that really makes your content different, in my opinion, is that like you openly talk about like being like Central Asian and Muslim. Like not many Central Asian creators do that, right? So we don't see it like often. And my question is, why do you think, like, why is it important for you to include Islam in your content? Because like not many people realize that like the role of Central Asia in Islam, right? So I was just curious, and that's something that I found very unique about your content. Usually we show our culture, our traditions, we speak about our language, but in your content, you do all that stuff as well. But on top of that, you also promote Islam and being Muslim from Central Asia, and I find it very, very interesting.
Yes, that's the the reason why is because I believe in terms of my identity, Islam comes before being Uzbek. Because Islam is, I believe that's the way of life that I've been able to get through. And, the manners, the traditions, the fiqh, the aqidah in Islam, I believe is more important towards my identity than being Uzbek. So I've been wanting to promote that through my content as well, because I know there's a lot of Central Asian Muslims where they also don't have a voice as well. I mean, even growing up, my parents were from the Soviet Union, and I mean, as you all know, that the Soviet Union sort of tried to collapse Islam, and through that they didn't allow my parents to fully embrace Islam, fully practice Islam. And I know there's a lot of first generation Uzbek-Americans that can relate to this, where their parents weren't able to teach them how to pray, teach them aqidah, teach them fiqh, because they were from a system that tried to take that away from their identity. Soviet Union successfully took that away from the Uzbek identity. But Islam is so rooted in Central Asia, especially Uzbekistan, that I believe it's so important to talk about. Like Imam Bukhari, who wrote the most authentic hadith we have, Sahih al-Bukhari, al-Maturidi, who established the Maturidi school of thought. Like this is where we're from. This is our descendants. This is our bloodline. Islam has been crucial towards Uzbek culture, Kazakh culture, Central Asia in general. So that's another reason why I want to be able to show Islam, because Islam is also tied to our identity. And I want to be able to show other Central Asians that being Muslim comes before being Central Asian, and being Muslim is very important towards our identity, given the fact that, I know there's some Central Asians that are Christian, that are Buddhists and whatnot, but for the Central Asians that are Muslim, I want to give them a voice. I want to show them that as a Central Asian, you come from a bloodline from such great scholars, such great imams, that Islam is part of your identity. So that's one thing that I try to bring with my content, is bringing the importance of Islam towards our culture.
When I myself first came to the US, like in the early 2000s, people barely knew where Central Asia was, let alone like separate countries, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan. And like they would literally ask you, do you guys drive cars? Do you guys have like, skyscrapers, these buildings? Do you have like, these infrastructures, etc. But now it feels like, things are changing, obviously. I'm just curious, why do you think promoting Central Asia now is more important than ever?
Yeah, of course. Well, I believe, social media and the internet have gotten towards higher lengths than, when you were here, like in the 2000s, 2010s. I mean, there's nothing like social media. There's no internet to connect us all. So the reason why I believe the time is now is because there's no excuse. I guess back in the day, we didn't have the ability to talk about our culture or be a voice because we weren't in, a state of power. There weren't any media outlets covering our country. But now social media is so accessible to anyone that anyone can make content over Central Asia. Anyone can make content over any other country in the world, and people will see it. So we have no excuse now anymore. We have the tools, we have the power, we have the ability to be a voice for our country, for our regions, and to show other people what Central Asia is all about. That's why I believe it's very important for Central Asian content creators like me to promote Central Asia, to promote our countries, and to show the world that, we're not some third world underdeveloped country that doesn't have any food or any skyscrapers. No. We have like Tashkent. Like Tashkent is like the Abu Dhabi of like Central Asia. In Almaty, like the capital of Kazakhstan, that's not some third world country. No, it's so modern, so developed. Our technologies are also much more modern, developed than anyone ever thinks. And even coming and touring our countries, it's very safe to come to our countries, very modern, and you're able to experience the Silk Road culture that has influenced our regions. Like I believe our region of Central Asia is the most diverse place in the entire world because we have so many different cultures. We're a melting pot of so many different cultures, languages, food. And I believe the time is now because there's no excuse. We have all the technology, we have all the tools and all the power to do so. So it would actually be a shame if we don't take advantage of this time right now.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't agree more. And another thing that I noticed about your content when I scrolled through your Instagram, you often we often see you with like traditional Uzbek clothing in your videos, and I mean it seems very intentional, obviously. Why is that important to you, and what message are you trying to send through that?
Well, yeah, it's I believe it's tied to identity as well, because identity is, like I was talking about, my identity is tied into Islam and towards my Central Asian culture. So clothing is an important part of that culture as well. What we wear, how we look, that gives the first impression towards other people. So when I'm wearing my chapan, when I'm wearing my dubba, I'm showing others what our culture looks like. Like, I mean, me personally, I might look Chinese, I might look Korean or Japanese. I mean, everyone in the entire world always gets some East Asian countries. But when I put on the chapan, when I put on the dubba, people will understand that I'm from Central Asia, that I am an Uzbek. So I believe clothing is very tied into culture. So that's the biggest reason why I wear that specific clothing in most, if not all, of my videos. And it's also for my other Central Asian brothers and sisters. I want them to feel, what is it called, comfortable, and in a sense feel powerful when they wear those certain clothings. Because some of us have become too assimilated. We wear sweatpants and like a shirt to classes, and I'm no different. I do the same thing sometimes too. But I believe that giving them a voice and showing them that it's okay to wear this clothing, that in fact it's empowering to wear our cultural clothing. I believe that's very important because it promotes our identity. It grows their national identity so they come back to their roots. So that's the biggest reason why I wear that specific clothing in most of my videos.
That's a good point, Jahangir. I was going to ask you about your visit to Uzbekistan.
Mhm.
And today, I think you posted a story saying like, I mean, here's the proof I'm Uzbek, which was funny.
Yeah.
So, like, I guess I want to ask you, like, how often do you go and visit Uzbekistan? And like, do you guys like, did you grow up going back and forth, or did you like, what time did you go to? At what age did you go to Uzbekistan? Let's start with that.
Last time I was there was 2015. So I was like 10 years old, 11 years old at the time. The reason why it's just been such a long time is just because sometimes we had educational barriers. Sometimes I was staying for summer school, things of this nature. But inshallah, I definitely want to go back this summer. Just go back to the motherland, go back to see the culture, see the roots. Because I didn't grow up going back and forth to Uzbekistan, so that's one of the reasons why growing up I didn't know how impactful being Uzbek was. I didn't really know my culture, my identity. I didn't know these type of things because I wasn't visiting Uzbekistan very often. I was just getting this information from my parents, and alhamdulillah, they were able to teach me so much about my culture, but haven't been going there that often. But inshallah, definitely want to go this summer.
On that note, I just want to say 2 points because, and you can go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Number one, what I noticed over these years living in America is that um, every time I see someone from Central Asia, uh,
Mhm.
like in my case, someone from Kazakhstan, because I mean we don't really get to see like many Uzbeks or Kyrgyz people in Virginia,
Yeah.
but every time I see someone from Kazakhstan, especially who is like born and raised in the US, they tend to be super patriotic. Like they tend to be like every time they would like you would ask them about like what do you think about Kazakhstan, or do you miss Kazakhstan, or do you want to speak the language? They would be like super patriotic, and it's just fascinating because I mean I can't speak for other people, but even myself, growing up in Kazakhstan, I wouldn't say that you would like, be wearing your like national clothes every day to your office. You wouldn't be like, like promoting your country on the streets. You wouldn't be doing those type of stuff. But in America, when you see people from Central Asia, they tend to be super patriotic, super
Mhm.
like, Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan loving people. And it's just fascinating. So why do you think that's happening? Why do you think being so far away from your homeland, historic homeland, is making you love your country more? If like what I mean. Like why do you think
Yeah.
this is happening?
Yeah, I believe this just applies to anything in general. This is, I guess, psychology is where when you deprive yourself of something that you used to have, you want it even more. I guess it's like like food cravings, for example. If I haven't had sushi or a burger for a very very long time, then I'm gonna want that sometime in the future. And it's also because we're in an environment where everyone is American, and there's also a part of people try to be different, people try to be unique, and this uniqueness, I believe, it stems from our want to go back to our roots, to be Kazakh, to be Uzbek, to show and promote our country of Central Asia, because through this pride we have so much love for our country that when we're in a place like America, we want to show that culture to everyone. We want to be able to, teach Americans about our culture. Like I remember when I was young, my parents would always invite, neighbors that were non-Central Asian to demonstrate our culture. It was always we'd have osh, and they'd always enjoy this osh, and it's, I believe, through depriving ourselves of going back to our country, not having the foods that we usually have, not being able to do the cultural traditions that we're usually able to do back home. I believe that deprivedness and that want to go back to our roots is why we're so patriotic when we come to places like America, Canada, or anywhere else that there aren't many Central Asians or anyone that are similar to our identity.
Yeah, it makes sense. Totally makes sense. But how do you define yourself today? Like more American, more Uzbek, or like, both? Because I think that's also important. And
Yeah.
if you can also like, do you socialize with people from like other Central Asian countries? I've seen you like your friends from I think like Morocco or like these Muslim countries. But do you get to see people from Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan? And if you do, like, walk me through like your conversation or like your first impression of those people, because obviously I mean, although you look like Uzbek or you look like Kazakh, the traditions, you practice Islam, all that, but when it comes to daily conversation, small talks, I mean, they would definitely catch your accent if you have. I mean, by the way, do you speak Uzbek
Yes, I do.
like fluently?
Not fluently, but like close to it. Like
My
almost.
point is, if you have an accent,
Mhm.
you would catch it, and they would say, "Hold up, are you from Uzbek, or are you from like, you know what I mean?" Like,
Yeah, I've gotten that so many times. Yeah.
oh, really? So how do you feel
Yeah.
about it? Like, if,
Yeah.
I mean, have you had any like weird situations where you ended up like, among like Uzbek speaking or Kazakh speaking, like traditional people from Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan, and how did you feel about it?
I've gotten that a lot of times. There's this one time where anytime I meet someone that's from Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, or Central Asia, I always have some satisfaction, and I feel like I already know the person because we're watandash, like we're countrymen, we're from the same country. So even Kazakhs, like we're very similar in our culture, our language, and whatnot. So anytime I meet someone that's from Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, I always feel like this internal satisfaction that I met like a brother, I met a sister, I know this person more than I know someone like that's a non-Central Asian. And usually when there's this one time I was talking to this Uzbek and he said, siz Tatarcha gaplashasizmi? Like, do I talk like a Tatar? And I was like, no, I'm an Uzbek man. He said, oh, son Americansmisan? And I said, yeah, I was born in America. So they can catch it real quick. I've gotten that so many times because apparently I have a really thick American accent when I speak Uzbek, but it's all fun and games because at the end of the day, it's really amazing to see another Central Asian brother and sister, be able to talk to them, be able to get their experiences coming to America. And it's always something I look forward to. Anytime I go to any sort of events, like even in A&M, there's only a couple of Central Asians. I know two Uzbeks that came here for their master's degree that I spent a lot of time with. There's another Turkmen guy, and I actually live with another Turkmen guy, and I've known him since birth. Like our parents have been family friends for a long time. But there's very, very few of us. But when we're able to hang out, it's so easy to hang out. Like we're able to get along so quickly, so easily because we're very similar. It's like we're clones of each other. We know how to do. We know how we think. We know what we want to do, what we don't want to do, things of this nature. And it's also much easier to get along with people that are very similar to our culture. Like even my Moroccan friend, like we were just talking and there's so many similarities we have in our culture. Like Moroccans, they also eat bread with everything. They drink hot tea, even in a hot summer day.
I've seen your reels where like
Yeah,
you're saying I'm craving, and then your friend from Morocco comes and like he's offering like tea or like biscuits,
exactly.
bread. So, Jahangir, you've said that you want to be someone, Central Asian kids can look up to, right? What do you want them to see in you?
I want them to see that it's okay to maintain your identity. You should be able to maintain your identity as if you're Kyrgyz, Uzbek, Tajik, Afghan, Turkmen, Kazakh, Uzbek. Like it's important for you to maintain your identity, even if you've come to America. It's also important to prioritize education. Like, for example, I'm making these videos for the intentional purpose of being a role model for other Central Asians. But when I was making this for entertainment purposes, that was just for the creative side of myself. But I still haven't gone away from the focus of, trying to become a doctor, trying to go into medical school. So I want them to know that you must maintain your identity. It's important when you go to any other country that's not Central Asia to maintain your identity. Education is also important, and through discipline and hard work, you'll be able to achieve many things. I know that sounds cliche, but it's the truth. All you got to do sometimes is just sit down and study, even if you don't feel like it. So we say das gerek. You got to study. I mean, our parents prioritize education so much to the point where we constantly study because this is important as part of our culture as well. We always ilim. We're trying to look for that knowledge. We're trying to better ourselves. So that's a cultural thing as well. And I just want them to know that. Looking at me and looking at my success, you can do the same thing too. Like I'm no different than any other Central Asian. The only thing I've done is just spend more hours on making content or figuring out how to do so. But I'm no special example. That's what I want to be able to show other Central Asian kids is that I'm no different than you. I've gone through the similar pathway that you've gone through. And all I've done is just, focus more on it. And that's the only difference. But I want all Central Asian kids to know that they can get to that point. They can be successful while still maintaining their identity.
Absolutely. And I really like what you're doing, Jahongir, because it inspires people to learn more about our culture and, where we come from in general, whether it's Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan or Kyrgyzstan. And I think it's really fascinating. So yeah, thank you so much for making time. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I think what you're doing is important. And I just want to say, keep representing our culture and our country, Jahongir. I really appreciate it.
Rahmat, thank you so much, brother.